Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu. Langflow, Episode 3 of 15. A simple chat message seems like just a string of text, but if that were true, your application would lose track of who said what the moment a second user connected. Resolving that routing problem is exactly what we covered today, interfacing with a graph using chat input and chat output. When you build a flow, the entry point is typically a chat input component. Developers frequently mistake this for a basic text box that blindly forwards a string to the next node. That is an incorrect mental model. The chat input component acts as a structured data factory. Its primary function is to intercept raw text from the user interface and encapsulate it into a specific data type called a message object. The message object is the fundamental currency for text moving through a Langflow graph. Instead of passing naked strings, the graph routes this standardized package. Inside the object, the actual words typed by the user sit in a core text field. Surrounding that text is a layer of metadata. The object contains a sender field, which categorizes the source as either a user or a machine. It includes a sender name, which handles the visual display label on the front end. It also stamps the exact creation time into a timestamp field. This metadata becomes crucial when handling concurrent users. Consider a scenario where a user asks a question in a deployed application. The chat input component catches their text, packages it into a message object, sets the sender to user, and attaches a unique session ID. This session ID is the mechanism that tracks a specific conversation thread. As the message traverses through the graph, passing through retrievers or processing nodes, that session ID remains attached. State management tools and memory components rely entirely on this ID to group interactions. Without it, the graph would have no way to isolate one user's context from another. You also have control over the visibility of this input. The chat input component can be configured to hide its contents from the main chat interface. This is useful when passing default system parameters or background instructions that the user never needs to see while still injecting a valid message object into the graph. On the reverse side of the flow sits the chat output component. This is the terminal node that presents data back to the user interface. It catches the final message object produced by your logic. Because it receives a fully formed object, the chat output component reads the sender and sender name fields to render the interface accurately, typically displaying the response as coming from the machine. If a prior node happens to pass raw text into the chat output instead of a message object, the component corrects this automatically. It wraps the raw string into a fresh message object before displaying it, enforcing strict data consistency at the boundaries of your graph. The chat input and output components are not cosmetic interface elements. They are the border controllers of your application, guaranteeing that every piece of text is cleanly wrapped in a tracked message object before it is allowed to move. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you picked up something new.